Seven ravens. There's once a husband and wife who had 7 sons. So in many respects, their life had truly been blessed. But they always wanted a daughter. And when finally the wife gave birth to a little girl, she was a tiny, delicate little thing. And the parents decided to have her baptized as soon as possible. And so they sent their sons out to go to the well to fetch some water for the baptism. And they were gone for such a long time. The father started getting annoyed and started getting angry because his sons sometimes could be a little disobedient. The father, in his exasperation, said, "I hope all my sons are turned into ravens." And at that moment they heard a whirring of birds' wings outside the window. And when the mother and father looked out of the window, they saw 7 ravens flying away from them. So the little girl grew up not knowing that she had 7 brothers, until one day she heard some people speaking and saying that it was the daughter's fault that the sons had disappeared. So she asked her mother, "What happened to my brothers?" And her mother told her the whole story. So the little girl decided to go out into the world, find her older brothers and rescue them. So she took with her a little ring for her finger that belonged to her mother, a loaf of bread, a jug of water, and off she went. She asked people, but no one seemed to know what had become of her raven brothers. So she asked the sun. The sun was hot and dried everything out and wouldn't help a little girl. She asked the moon, but the moon was cold and unfriendly and wouldn't help her either. So finally she asked the stars. And the stars were gentle and kind. And she asked the evening star. The evening star said to her, "Go to the glass mountain. There you will find your brothers, and take this with you." And the evening star gave her what seemed like a strange gift, for it was a chicken bone. You will need this to unlock the door that goes into the glass mountain. So the little girl found the glass mountain, and there was indeed a keyhole. But she couldn't find the chicken bone that the kindly star had given her. So she took a knife and she cut off her own little finger and used it to unlock the door. And she went inside the glass mountain. And there she found a dwarf setting out a table with 7 little plates and 7 little cups. And she explained to the dwarf that she was the younger sister of the ravens. And the dwarf said, "The raven lords have not returned yet, but they will be back shortly." So the younger sister ate a tiny morsel from each of the 7 plates, and drank a little from each of the 7 cups. And when she got to the last cup, her youngest brother's, she took off her ring and dropped it in the cup. And then she hid herself in the corner. And sure enough, there was a great whirring of birds' wings, and all 7 ravens landed at the table. And they each said to the brother next to them, "A human has eaten from this plate. A human has drunk from this cup." And the youngest brother found the ring in the bottom of his cup and recognized it as being their mother's. And he said, "Perhaps our sister is here." And as he said that, the younger sister rose from the corner where she had hidden herself and revealed herself to her brothers. And at that moment, they all regained their human form and rejoiced to be reunited. There's quite a pattern that runs through stories of a younger sister who rescues her older brothers because they've been turned into, as we saw earlier, a fawn, or earlier into ravens. In the Irish storytelling tradition, brothers are turned into swans. Now, both swans and ravens are associated with death. Swans because in some legends your soul is taken to the next world on the back of a swan. Ravens, of course, because they're carrion feeders. They would feed on the dead after a battle. Very intelligent birds, apparently, and of course, All-Father Odin has 2 ravens, Thought and Memory, who travel with him. Lots of people being turned into animals and people being turned into things. The whole thing about cutting off a finger, cutting off a hand, or cutting off both hands, that image appears time and time again throughout storytelling traditions. And of course, Tim Spall's character, who can shapeshift into being a rat in Harry Potter. Of course, he willingly gives a hand into the cauldron from which Lord Voldemort arises. That's willingly sacrificing your hand. That turns up time and time again. And the whole thing about a cauldron as a womb symbol, apparently, and people being regenerated, and that straight out of Irish mythology. So stay with it, because there are more severed limbs coming up, and more people being rescued, and more strange stories. We have a long way to go before we get to the end of the Brothers Grimm stories. So do subscribe, do check out Brothers Grimm Facebook group, and hope to see you again soon. Here we are, and I'll wave with both my hands. See you.